Don't worry if you can't pay your loan. Blame the abusive, greedy bank. Who's going to loan money in that atmosphere? You see, Americans don't want fundamental transformation, but the radical progressives and revolutionaries do. And that's about it. The administration knows it. They are finishing the job that Woodrow Wilson started. They have to hide, and they have to change public opinion. And if you think that's a crazy concept, you don't know Cass Sunstein. Oh, but you will. You will. Now, how do you change public perception? How do you do it? Well, Woodrow Wilson faced a similar dilemma. I just told you, World War I. World War I in 1917. He had a lot of things that he had to do. He had to change the minds of people. He created the Committee on Public Information using a hand-picked propaganda guru, George Creel, along with Edward Bernays. Okay? These guys are revered by most. I think they're some of the spookiest people alive. Walter Lippmann definitely is, and journalists practically genuflect when they hear his name. Bernays, he was great. The Nazis' top propagandist, Joseph Goebbels, kept copies of Bernays' writings in his own personal library. Creel sought to make associates out of the media, and then went on a mission to get all Americans to conform to the pro-war viewpoint. In fact, he said, and I may quote, "It was, of course, the astounding success of propaganda during the war that opened the eyes of the intelligent few in all departments of life to the possibilities of regimenting the public mind. It was only natural after the war ended that intelligent persons should ask themselves whether it was not possible to apply a similar technique to the problems of peace." Ooh. And they have. Wilson set the table by passing the Espionage Act of 1917 and then the Sedition Act in 1918. They empowered government to suppress and punish disloyalty and subversion, ban all seditious materials from the mail. Seditious materials at that time included anything that might impugn the motives of the government. That's sedition. If you define sedition the way Woodrow Wilson did, then I guess I understand why everyone says the Tea Party goers are anti-government and seditious. Hiram Johnson, progressive senator from California, said, "You shall not criticize anything or anyone in the government any longer, or you shall go to jail." Is that the America you want to live in? See, people say that that'll never happen in America, but it already has, and this isn't the only time. Once everything was set in motion, here's what happened. They made lists of the most dangerous Americans, people who just said that this is a bad thing. You can't do it. You're against the war? No, no, no. They used the DOJ to set up prison camps because they were grabbing all these people up. The Department of Justice prepared the list of people considered dangerous and attempted to register all male and female German aliens. By the end of the war, the U.S. government had arrested more than 4,000 people on charges ranging from espionage to just making pro-German statements. Prison barracks were established at military bases all around the country. Then you go back to California. They banned books. The California Board of Education, for example, banned the teaching of German in schools, calling it a language that disseminates the ideals of brutality and hatred. It's hatred, German. The states of Iowa and Nebraska banned instruction of any foreign language in schools. In Cincinnati, the public library was asked to withdraw all German books from the shelves. The Red Cross then decided that they had to ban any German Americans working with a German name. They couldn't be in the organization. German names were scrubbed from buildings and streets. I told you last night, Schmidt became Smith, Mueller became Miller. In Minnesota, there was a minister that was tarred and feathered because he was overheard praying with a dying woman in German. Tarred and feathered for praying with a woman in German. It gets worse. In southern Illinois, a man was lynched in 1918 for no apparent reason except he happened to be of German descent. That's really interesting here because what Wilson did is excused and promoted PC violence. What happened? What happened to the group of people that lynched a man of German descent? Well, the propaganda was so heavy by this point that the jury insisted they were really only doing what had to be done. It was a patriotic act. Lynching. In 1917, private volunteers, with the open endorsement of the Attorney General of the United States, formed an American Protective League called APL. Okay? A.G. Thomas Gregory called the APL a patriotic organization. It was assisting the heavily overworked federal authorities in keeping an eye on disloyal individuals and making reports on disloyal utterances. Wow, that's good, isn't it? Disloyalty. The APL, by the end of the war, the organization had 250,000 members who defined their mission as spying on their neighbors, eavesdropping on suspicious conversations, intercepting and opening mail and telegrams of people suspected of being disloyal to the government, and reporting to the authorities any evidence of disenfranchisement with the war effort. Other similar groups included, and please, I ask you, we have been looking for the last couple of days for pictures of these. This history has been so cannibalized. We can't find anything, but I know you can. Look for pictures and things on the National Security League, the American Defense Society, and I love this one, the Boy Spies of America. They were modeled after the Boy Scouts. This history has been erased. Search everything you can. Try to find anything on the Boy Spies. We couldn't find anything. Watchdogs, email us for this. Put it on Twitter and email us at becktips@foxnews.com. Okay, so all this happened in America. Oh, well, that's crazy. You got it? You got it? Making lists of people, using the DOJ to set up prison camps, banning books, calling German the language, hate speech, Red Cross banning German Americans, excused and promoted PC violence, engaged in 4-minute men, they infiltrated the citizen groups, and they also intimidated the press. They also read private telegrams and mail. They spied on Americans and said, your neighbor could be bad. Watch him. That was less than a century ago, under a president who I think is one of the most evil presidents we've ever had. But you didn't learn that in school, did you? No, you didn't. Okay, he put a boot on people's throat. That's what Wilson did. But just like now, progressives learn their lesson, and they launder it, and they make it a little more powerful. They learn from their mistakes. They're very good. Then we had FDR, because Wilson led to Calvin Coolidge and Harding. Harding came in with Calvin Coolidge, and everybody said, okay, these guys spook me. So they had to change things. These were progressives. This was a liberal. That's all he was. He was a liberal. More of the same from FDR. I'll explain FDR, and then we'll show you what we're doing now. And I'll let you be the judge. Are we doing the same things? Coming up in just a second. Yesterday, we began with Woodrow Wilson laying out the staples of progressivism, which we had up on. We're having technical difficulties with some of our screens tonight, so we're writing it on a chalkboard. We've got so many chalkboards. We're writing it on another chalkboard. I'll give it to you in a second because you need to see it. But basically, here they are, because Wilson, FDR, and Obama are doing it. And that's these things. One, the government elite knows best. The public is uninformed and incapable of choosing what's best for them or for the society on whole. True public opinion is denied. Alternate realities are created and presented as truth. Propaganda. So, they know better. Your opinion doesn't matter. They'll just teach it to you through propaganda. The second thing is, voices of opposition are discredited, intimidated, bribed, or eliminated. Number three thing you have to know, progressives use war or the moral equivalent of war. A global warming crisis or an economic crisis. That way they can push their progressive agenda through, which always includes the suspension of basic rights. Because remember, you're not smart enough. They'll take care of it. Never waste a good crisis. The ends justify the means. The other thing is they always view the Constitution as an organic document. It's outdated in its original form, and you just have to be open to modern interpretations. Hello, progress. I'm not going to tolerate those who want to stand in the way of progress.